A century and a half ago, a weary explorer, returning from adventures in Tasmania's solitudes, said, "As I approached the Clyde, I was cheered by the sound of barking dogs, and some lands, in part fenced off, told me I was getting into the settlement. And indeed, there are a few houses that would do credit to those who have built them." John held a wedge, saw a village built of ideas, brick, stone, and wood. It was Bothwell, then a lonely microcosm of pioneer life and of English architecture. A few years before, a Scots lass and her parents had sailed from Leith, bound for Hobart Town, then peopled by some 2,500 souls and 420 houses. It was a time of unrest, of bitter and romantic dramas, and of a currency that would drive a modern accountant mad. Spanish dollars, mohurs, ducats, pagodas, guilders, and guineas. The young Scotswoman, Jane Reed, declared, "When we arrived at the Clyde, there were only 2 habitations. Jane's father built Ratho. The home," said John Mitchel, "of a most amiable and accomplished Edinburgh family. He was soothed by its music, its books, and its flowers." Its stone-flagged veranda, its wisteria entwined wooden Doric shafts, and iron foot wiper are reminders of an elegance and a human industry that civilized a wilderness. Bothwell grew and thrived. Around it formed that staunch triangle of rural life, a church, mills, taverns. In front of the White Castle Inn, it's said that Aborigines once danced a corroboree. John Lee Archer, who designed Hobart's Parliament House, also designed St. Luke's. But it was silent men whose craft language sounds like poetry, who scabbled, dabbled, sparrow-picked, and wrought it into a beauty without guile. Among them was a mysterious artist with a passion for somber but gifted sculpture. These 2 carvings are his memorial, cameos perhaps of the splendid Gothic tradition that had its birth in the golden sun of Byzantium. I, John Whelan, alias Rocky Whelan, condemned to die tomorrow, murdered an old man at Baghdad 6 or 7 weeks ago. I shot him in the head. So confessed he who snuffed out the life of Thomas Axford, who turned the clays of the Clyde into bricks and trees into timber to build this mill and make it prosper. The great stone moons that ground the bright grain are stilled. No more churns the paddled wheel against the flow of the waters. There is decay here, and weeping willows choke the stream. Aloof from instinct and thoughts, they cast down their tribute catkins to a humble architecture that dealt so well with the problem of daily bread. Little is left of Logan, where once lived Archibald MacDowell, whose name and deeds are enshrined in the district. Nearby, hidden in a swaddle of lordly oaks and elms, is Nant, a lovely fabric in the Australian colonial tradition, with clear Georgian overtones, and some interior decoration after the Palladian style. Nant was born of hard work, and the only revolution that ever struck Bothwell, the coming of sheep, which now contribute nearly 1.5 million pounds of wool to the national clip. A quaint gable carving hinting of amusement celebrates the date of a mill in which is detected the skill of Edward Nicholas, an early architect and engineer. Lively memories are associated with this cottage. It was the home of firebrand lawyer John Mitchel before he escaped to the United States, where he witheringly dubbed Hobart the University of Burglary. The Irish Patriot's interesting jail journal tells many tales of Bothwell, laced with sardonic humour and gloom. But for him, its air was ambrosia. Alexander Reid of Ratho, writing to Jane, who'd gone to India with her soldier husband, spoke with a touch of irony and modest pride of the township's changing skyline. So many fine palaces, the Church Magnifique and Wentworth's. An aristocrat in the Regency manner, it breathes shades of old authority and private splendour. Its ash-layered face with handsome consoles and carved volutes is one of the best-known man-made landmarks of the Clyde. Better parts of its design were probably inspired by its first owner, Captain Darcy Wentworth, a younger brother of famed explorer and stormy petrel of early politics. Through the old Viceroy, the affectionate title of Lachlan Macquarie, young Darcy became the first-born Australian admitted to the King's Army. Flanking an old coach road, the antique masonry of Strathbarton looms above a gallery of tufted trees. Fretting witness of the past, its grounds contain a softly textured brick pigeon loft and a carved freestone trough that has seen better days. We have Meadsfield, huddling with its cluster of cottages down in the vale by the downs of Humby. Cluny on the Barcoot Plains, which the irrepressible Mitchel described as a piece of Tudor barbarism. Lean and weather-beaten Strathborough, in whose paddocks ancient inhabitants of the earth do their best to justify the kind views of Count Kropotkin. Serene Clifton Priory has stood upon its solid rock these 126 years. In this outlandish fold of the Clyde, one summer eve, with the scent of peppermints blowing from the hills, 3 armed bushrangers swept down upon Sherwood and caught the household off guard. Bandit leader Martin Cash, who led a charmed life and escaped the gallows, later heard that one had bilked him by hiding 70 guineas in his boots, and he resolved to trust Quakers no more. Deserted, unharrowed by sentiment, this stack of stone and wood seems forever haunted by the shades of they who strained to build its miles of lichened walls, now only a legacy of a brave but predatory age. Hollow Tree Road and a passage through 5 gates takes the searcher after old dignity to a home where the lamps burn no more, where the door creaks with every vagrant wind. Once pride of the valley, its gilt peels, its plaster falls. Captain William Langdon named his home Montacute, after the Somersetshire village of his birth. He furnished it with the art of Sheraton, with cedar, mahogany, lavender wallpapers, argand lamps, sconces and fenders, and in the grounds roamed deer and proud peacocks. Amid acacias, tussocks, gorse on the rise above his home, he built from the orange sedimentary rock of his estate the little chapel of St. James, now more a sanctuary for swallows than for souls. Down along the Jordan on the way to Jericho stands Pleasant Place, once the seat of Robert Jones. A pleasing relic, it's also a repository of sentiments, swarming with old memories. Here, long ago, a dusky warrior of Van Diemen's Land told a lady he would throw her in the bloody river. I seized my musket, said Robert, and my wife was at the door with a loaded pistol. Robert and his wife survived the ordeal, and their solid door has outlasted them, to endure as a friendly object for public admiration. Made famous by romantic artist, architect Hardy Wilson, Bothwell's Accommodation House, or as it's better known, the Coffee Palace, is a Georgian classic of its kind, with a facade of unfaltering good taste. With its round-headed door, open flagged terrace and chased ironwork sunk deep in the freestone, it presents as delightful an example as may be seen in Tasmania's upland treasury of colonial architecture.